Here is Perp back with another video, and I just got out of watching Nosferatu. This is one of the most highly anticipated horror movies to come out of the year thus far. As the year starts to wind down, does it deliver? Does it live up to its expectation? Because there was a lot of hype and a lot of momentum built up for this movie. My theater was absolutely packed, saw it with a full crowd, and I definitely think that this movie is going to be the number one movie in the box office for this weekend, especially it being Christmas of all times, of dropping a horror movie like this. Like, Nosferatu goes way back, man. Like, the original came out almost it's like 102 years ago. We're talking very, very early days of cinema, and this is a movie that definitely deserves its flowers and paved the way for so many different vampire movies going forward. And not only vampire movies, just cinematic villains, because Count Orlok does not get talked about enough. You know, we mentioned the Darth Vaders, the Jokers, but Count Orlok, he was like the one, you know what I'm saying? He was one of the original people that paved the way for those cinematic villains, you know, and just not only that, but vampire movies. And we've been so oversaturated with vampire movies. What does this movie do differently? Well, I'm just going to talk about my whole thoughts and just everything about this movie. We have Robert Eggers back directing, and this is starring Nicholas Hoult, Lily Rose Depp. She's been popping up in a lot of different roles. She is very strong in this movie, I will have to say, straight up and down. Also, we have Bill Skarsgård playing Count Orlok. And man, when they said he looks damn near or just completely unrecognizable, I'm going to get into that, because we got to talk about the drastic design difference from the original. And this pretty much starts off with Lily Rose Depp's character, Ellen. She has kind of like this kind of like flashback, or something happens. She has this interaction with the Count, and then it fast forwards several years and she's about to get married. But then weird things, bizarre things, freak accidents, people start dying, and this kind of plague takes over this town. And it's all this kind of foreshadowing of the Count coming to this town. And all I'll say, once he pops up and we kind of go through the phases of what he ends up doing in this movie, man, they really don't hold back. This isn't as gory as I thought it would be. There are some very graphic scenes, and I will be curious to see if people keep that same energy, because, you know, one of the biggest gripes of Terrifier 3 is like, oh man, art's killing kids in here. So I'm wondering how people are going to react to a specific scene that plays out. And yeah, I do appreciate that. You know, like I said, I thought it was going to be a little bit more graphic, but it's just enough to kind of get a reaction out of the audience, or it make you squeamish. There's a lot of rats used throughout this movie. But anyways, getting back to the story. So you have Ellen and Thomas, that's Nicholas Holt's character. Thomas gets this like job opportunity, and this is what's so interesting now, the more I think about it, is just the way the Count has played this whole thing out, where he separates these two, and they're both going through some type of like internal like kind of thing, where with Ellen it's almost sexual, the way that the Count is like seducing her, or it's almost like he's possessing her, and he can kind of possess Thomas at the same time. He is really OP, and I like the angle that he's not kind of by himself. He has people that are loyal to him, almost like a cult, and they have that kind of lore. And it's almost like I like that he is not a character that just kind of pops up. He's already kind of established, like people already know about him. So when you got somebody like Thomas that is making his way to the castle, to the Count's castle, you have people warning him like, yo, don't go up there. There's nothing good up there. But of course, nobody listens to the people that give out the warnings, and they suffer the consequences. But overall, just to kind of sum up this movie, I like that it has this interesting love triangle romance kind of story in this horror movie. It's really dope, and I think that's what's going to be what a lot of people like about this movie, or really love about this movie, is it does have a lot of great performances, interesting storylines. They can seem complex. I think some people might get lost or might not be too into what's going on, because this is not your kind of typical horror movie, even though it does have its jump scares. Tonally and just the way it's paced, it's more like a slow burn, but I don't mind slow burns. It's not going to be for everybody. The scares in this is not really scary, I would say, because I want to talk about the Count's design in this, and the way Bill Skarsgård approaches this character. I like it. I like the voice. It reminds me, if anybody has ever watched Bleach, The 1,000-Year Blood War, he reminds me of Yoobak. Just even the way he looks and the way he sounds. And if anybody has seen Bleach, and you'll know what I'm talking about. But it's interesting. His design is it's nothing like the original. You know what I'm saying? Even though there's hints of it, with the long fingers and the long fingernails and stuff like that, but the deep, like, bass with the accent and stuff like that, it's really creepy. It's definitely just nothing that I expected, but they weren't lying, like I said, about him just looking unrecognizable. It's gonna take me some time to kind of warm up to the look, because I don't know how I feel about it. Like I said, I like the voice, I like the presentation. It definitely has hints of the original, but how his face looks, completely different. Overall, great performances from everybody. Even William Dafoe that's in here, he kind of acts as almost like a guide or a person that tries to help. Aaron Taylor Johnson is in a movie that's actually good and not Craven, so that's cool. I like the atmosphere that this movie sets. I like that it's in that, like, was it 4:3 aspect ratio? That might not be everybody's cup of tea, but it kind of gives it that old school feeling to it. There's a lot of instances where it felt kind of black and white, but still had some color in it and stuff. Really interesting, because I was really worried that this movie was going to be too dark, because just every time I saw the trailer, I was like, these shots look way too fucking dark. Maybe because I was in Dolby, it might look different on a regular screen. I don't know. But for the most part, I'm cool on how the movie is shot. I think it stands out amongst the other horror movies that have come out and other vampire movies. I definitely feel like it feels something different, that it's not your kind of typical vampire flick, because there's definitely a lot going on in this movie. If you get around to checking this out, though, let me know how you feel about Nosferatu. Do you prefer this version or the original, or do you just like both? Let me know your thoughts. Till next time, I'm out. Peace.